Professor Cheng Ching once said, he said, he wanted to help the world, right? He really wanted to help the world. He wanted to really be of influence to the world. And what he found would happen is that as a kid, he used to get tuberculosis, he'd get really sick, and scoliosis, all these different things. And then he would do the herbs and do the meditation, and then he would get well. And then what would end up happening is that he'd stop it, and then he'd get sick again. And he made this realization. He said, man, why is it that I only take the medicine that's good for my soul when I need it?
Wow, that's profound.
Right? Okay, I'll tell you a story of the two Satishes. These two guys I met in India once, yeah? They used to live on the street. They used to sell newspapers. You guys seen a Slumdog Millionaire? Anybody seen Slumdog Millionaire? So they live right there in that area, okay? I was born in Pune, which is just outside of Mumbai. And I went there for a wedding in 2004, and I met these two guys, the two Satishes. Their dad had left their mom, right? They didn't have it. They were on the street, but they wanted to get an education. And so what they started doing was they started selling newspapers. And then they would go, and there's like these nuts, and they would sell these nuts. And somehow they scraped up enough money to pay for school, because in India a lot of most schools aren't free, so you have to pay for school. So they went through that whole process doing all this stuff to the point that they got their degrees. They did so well at it, but then they moved back into their community and created centers where they could teach other kids to come up. They were like teaching the people getting the MBAs and stuff like that, right? And these two guys, they had nothing. So they did all this, they're just giving away. They had absolutely nothing. They lived in a house like maybe the size of two of these circles. But they were the two happiest people I'd ever seen in my life. Because they said we're connected to something higher. We're alive. We don't need for anything more than that. We've seen stuff that's so bad that they were at peace with themselves. If you come to your center and you settle down and you can hear inside and you're still enough, you will know. And nobody can tell you that. Nobody can give you that advice. Because that's an inner knowing, right? And that inner knowing, we all have access to it. It's just that, okay, if we were all living like, I don't know, 100 years ago, and we were out there, tending to some goats and some cows, and they were in the field, and you and I were just hanging out, like, wow, nature's really awesome, and we're just under the stars, and we have a lot of time to contemplate. We have a lot of time to go inside. We have a lot of time to connect to things around us. Today's world is the exact opposite of that. It's always on, always go, always disconnected, always in turmoil. So much that it's the norm. So for us, we think it becomes such a hard battle to become still. Right? So I'll give you a piece of advice on that.
I can't. I don't know how I would win that battle.
First is just taking the first step. Here's a challenge for you, yeah? 30 seconds. I just want you to focus on 30 seconds.
I'm good for 2.
2 seconds?
I'm working on it. I'm working in progress.
Great. Then once you get 2 seconds, go for 3. That's it. That's all it is. My teacher, when I started meditating, said do 3 minutes. Don't do more than 3 minutes, he told me. And he said, why? I said, why? He said, because people who do 20 minutes of meditation, 18 of that 20 minutes is yip-yapping over here, and the 2 minutes is like in stillness. So he said, you know what you're conditioning yourself to? It's like, what's that? 18 minutes of failure and 2 minutes of good. So instead, take 3 minutes and see if you can do it for 3 minutes and consecutively, and don't miss a day. People come to me all the time, they're like, I meditate in my high performance programs. I was like, so would you do some practice, whatever? It's like, yeah, I meditate. And I was like, how many days did you miss last week? And they look at me like, what? I was like, how many days did you miss last week? Like, oh, I did it only like, blah, blah, blah. 2, 3 days, 4 days. I was like, okay. Here's the rule on it. The rule is simple. For every day you miss, you go back 10. So if you did 28 days in a row in a month, and then you missed the 29th day, you're on 18. You missed the 30th day, you're back to 8. That's why people can't go forward and make progress. If you ask the Budo brothers, Jay and Travis, people who spend time with me, I don't care where we are, where they're picking me up from. First thing you're taking me to is for me to go do my practice.
Fact. Yes, 100%.
And I drag them with me. They're like, we got to shoot at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to the beach right now. It's 1:15 a.m. This is what we got to do. Because I said I would do it. I honor myself enough to find that peace. Professor Cheng Man Ching once said, he wanted to help the world, right? He really wanted to help the world. He wanted to really be of influence to the world. And what he found would happen is that as a kid, he used to get tuberculosis, he'd get really sick, and scoliosis, all these different things. And then he would do the herbs and do the meditation, and then he would get well. And then what would end up happening is that he'd stop it, and then he'd get sick again. And he made this realization. He said, man, why is it that I only take the medicine that's good for my soul when I need it?
Wow, that's profound.
Right?